Hi, happy holidays. I am Valerie, and welcome to 1 Minute Manifesting. And before I get started with today's topic, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel right here. You can find me on Facebook as Valerie Carruthers. You can find me on Instagram as joyful dot little period there manifesting, joyful dot manifesting. And you can send me a message if you would like to get on my email list with different topics that I cover about manifesting, responses to my subscribers, and any other special offers that I have going at this time, or planned on the plans for 2022. So stay tuned there. Now, the letter that I received from a new subscriber to my email list goes this way. The topic is revision. And revision, you may know if you're a Neville student or follower or member of a Neville community, was probably Neville Goddard's favorite manifesting tool, because you use it to change what wasn't so good in what you manifested, because we're manifesting all the time, 24/7. We're just, for the most part, not conscious of it. But as we become more well-versed in Neville's methods and in the whole process of manifesting and the meaning of manifesting and how it affects us, we begin to notice more, and we begin to be more aware of when we're not manifesting good things, when we're manifesting crap, when we're in a stuck state and things like that, and when we're able to also uplift ourselves and resume that place of the ideal state that we're staying confident in and connected to. So what happens when you think that's the way things are going, and somehow or other, the situation that you want to see happen, or the desire or the thing that you want to have, doesn't come through? And this is one of the most common issues that comes up. We saw that a lot. My co-hosts and I, Lene and Michelle Fitzsimmons, we saw that a lot when we on our Two Comma Coffee Club show. But it's just absolutely one of the key issues is, why hasn't I wanted manifested yet? And along with that, it's like, why didn't Santa put the right thing in my stocking? Why didn't I see under the tree the present that I really wanted? That's going to come up a lot. I'm waiting to hear what happened. So when we get to the 26th of December, and wow, no wonder everybody runs to the stores and takes everything back and exchanges things, it's because it wasn't what they wanted. So there was definitely something going on with their manifesting. Now, in terms of the things people got that they did want, and they ran to the store to cash in their gift certificate and whatever, that's fantastic. But it's definitely something that does come up all the time, and it's something to take a look at, and how you can turn that around. So you take anything that comes up and turn it into a win. And yes, one of the things with revision is that we use it to make a bad thing good, in a sense of when you prevent that pattern, say of a problem in a relationship with a family member, from an old conversation that made you always feel really bad. And you can change that in imagination so that it turns into something pleasant. And you can take something that's good and turn it into something better. You can turn better into amazing. So you can take bad into good, good into great, and great into phenomenal. So with that in mind, here's what the person wrote to me. I thoroughly enjoyed your newsletter and had a question about revision. It's a tool I have used, but I am curious about a recent event. I had imagined a few treats for Christmas, and right now I'm sure you're probably imagining too the kind of treats that you want to have. Whether they're food or whether they're something else. So a few specific foods that I crave. And absolutely, this time of year, you're going to have a deep craving for things you only, whether it's the pumpkin spice latte or the pumpkin spice something else or the gingerbread something or somebody had a craving for chestnuts. These are things depending on where you live and what the climate's like or maybe what you remember, even if you're living in a very different climate, how you remember it from your childhood. So these cravings are going to keep coming up. They go on to say, I did a few Feel It Real sessions and felt it was done, that the treats were going to show up. And I enjoyed them in imagination. These items where the person lives are only available at this time of year and only from specific place. There were about 3 items, and they go on to say not one of them worked out. In 2 cases, when the person who writes this I called the places to ask if they had the item I wanted, and they did not. I tried revising the conversation while it was going on, which is a rolling revision, which you can get very comfortable doing that, so you don't have to wait until, oh, why didn't I think of that? That's the feeling that, we often have after a conversation that goes south and you're thinking of all the great things you could have said. But actually, rather than it be angry things you could have said or sarcastic things you could have said, it really just turns something in your favor in terms of the outcome. So that war feeling isn't there. So let's get back to taking a look more at what happens here. So it didn't change the outcome. Now, what they also say is that while they had revised the conversation and the outcome didn't change, they say, and they put it in parentheses, although I don't feel disappointed. Keep that in the back of your head as we go on. So what did I not do correctly here? I'm assuming I did not do something correctly because I read all these wins in the Neville Goddard Law of Attraction group. It's called Law of Attraction by Neville Goddard. It's a Facebook community, wonderful community. It was started several years back by Mr. 2020, who is my mentor and has wonderful moderators, really kick-butt community. And you learn a lot and people share their wins. So reading about what everybody else has got, and we all tend to do that. We say, well, if they got it, why couldn't I get it? Well, you learn a lot. So here's what they say. They've turned it around and 2020 gets his wins. 2020 gets his wins because every time when he gets up in the morning before he gets out of bed, he does what it's called the Joseph Goddard method. And that was, I think it was Neville's brother, Joseph. It was either his brother or his father. I'm sorry, I can't remember at the moment. But before he went to work in the morning, he would just sit in his chair and picture in his mind, imagine himself having all the events of his day go his way. And once he felt solid with that, he'd get up and he'd go to work. And the writer of this here, who just mentions that about 2020 getting his wins, I am genuinely curious because this seems to be my general manifesting experience most times. A win followed by stuff like this. So a win that you're aware of, and then an outcome you didn't want. So you have to take a look at really what elements were involved in this. When this pattern happens, you have a win that you're really excited about, and then you want something else, but it collapses. It's kind of like when you buy those lottery tickets and little scratch off tickets and you get a bunch and you're winning and you're kind of getting that, I'm winning, and then you get another stretch of them and then they're not winning, whether you're playing for fun or because you're really hoping you're going to get something out of it. But that's what starts to happen. So you're feeling like it's out of your control. But as we know in manifesting, nothing is out of your control. You control everything by manifesting something you didn't want, and you also control it by getting something that you do want. So it's really not separate from you. Nothing is separate from you. You are God having the adventure of a lifetime. So, which is something Mr. 2020 always says. Now, here is what I responded to this person about. let's remember this is a very, very common experience of something you want, bunch of shit you didn't want, something you want, more crap you didn't want. You have to look at your state. You have to look at a few other elements that make up your state. Okay? So here's what I wrote. What you're experiencing with revision and with imagining without seeing your wish fulfilled is one of the most common issues in manifesting. You're always manifesting, as you know, in this case, not what you expected or hoped would happen. And hope is not, hope is like, maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not going to. Oh, I wish it would happen. I want it to happen. Hope doesn't give you the full degree of feeling it real. It's kind of a wafty kind of thing you're clinging to. It's just not going to give you that gut feeling. And I'm going to get into that a little more in a minute. So stay with me here. So I then said, when you read a post about a quick turnaround with something that seemed unobtainable and then arrived for that person out of nowhere, air quotes, and you go, dang, why can't I get it like that? What am I doing wrong? Right? Exclamation, question mark, exclamation point. So let's look at a couple of things. One, timing. Neville tells us it is sure and will not be late. He has emphasized this, one of his famous talks. He says that when you live in the state of the wish, from the state of the wish fulfilled, let me be clear, it's not just in the state, it is you're living from the end, that what you want is sure and will not be late. So rather than go, okay, it's all imagined up, why don't I have it already? You want instead to let go of the desire and trust in your gut, that you're receiving it. Okay, so that's what we call a visceral feeling, because that's your viscera, your gut. You want that deep feeling. Yeah, I've got it. It's a certainty. So you're trusting your gut, and the time itself is bending to bring it to you. After all, time is not separate from us. Time is moving. It's moving through us, really. Time it's something that appears to be outside of us. It appears to be segmented. It was something that the ancient people looked at. Oh, this ball of fire goes up, it goes away, and therefore it became a day. But actually, it's just this thing going up and down, up and down. So all these cycles came out of it. But not to go too far down that rabbit hole, let me just say it's something you control. So you feel a certainty in your belly, but you really don't want to keep side-eyeing to see, where is it already? We talk about persisting, having the confidence, the loyalty to the unseen reality. That's the kicker. You want to keep that there. That's so important. Okay? The other thing is intensity. So we're already getting pretty intense because we're talking about the visceral experience. But then what? You mentioned that even though you did a ton of revision, I wrote back to the person, and still did not receive the food items as yet, you're not disappointed. Remember, she said, I don't feel disappointed. And I said, why? Why don't you feel disappointed? If you're more or less okay, that sort of ambivalent, passive, neutral thing that you didn't get it, then why would the unseen reality, whether you call it, the big you, or the big universe, or God the Father, or the unseen reality, or whatever you want to name it, why would that force pull out all the stops for you to have it? And it's like the unseen reality doesn't know what to do with you. What am I going to do for you? doesn't know what to do for you because you're just, it's okay if it comes, it's okay if it doesn't. It's the concept. Yes, we understand the concept of being non-attached, of what comes, what goes. It is what it is. We've heard all these a lot of times. However, that's fine in a limited kind of a way. Yes, you don't want to get all bent out of shape about certain things, and you want to be in the eye of the storm, and the good stuff comes, the bad stuff comes, etc. However, we know as manifestors, we have the capacity, the power. We are the operant power. There is no secondary cause that's taking it away from us. It's all because of us. So if you're ambivalent or not disappointed or neutral or passive, universe, you does not know where to go on your behalf. So nothing's going to happen. So it's that feeling of, I must have this. And my friend, Dr. Rose Lawrence of therosielife.com, she talks about, you have to have that burning desire. You got to be on fire to have what you want. It's not, if that fire is just not there, it ain't going to cook the stew. You got to have it. So I said to the person, you mentioned that even though you did a ton of revision and still didn't receive the food items so far, you're not disappointed. Why? I said, if you're more or less okay that you didn't get it, then why would the unseen reality pull out all the stops for you to have? Okay? So I repeated that. I'm glad I did. Now, it's that feeling of, I must have this. Anything less is unacceptable. And I know it's a big spiritual teaching, as I was saying. Okay? So don't sell yourself short with that in manifesting terms. As I say, you're God having the adventure of a lifetime. Play with having what you want so you won't have to wonder whether you're doing it right. So we get into this, am I doing it right? Did I, is my session long enough where I'm feeling it real? Is this detail right? Is that, no, don't get caught up there. Be playful. This isn't meant to be work. This is meant to be light, fun, dancing with the possibilities of what you can have and feeling it in your gut. So these are not to do with overthinking, mentalizing, or getting stuck around. And believe me, I speak from my own truth here because that I can get extremely overly analytical, overly mentalizing, and very stuck. So it's noticing when I'm stuck and moving. It's noticing and gradually getting yourself, just being patient, sitting down, breathing, remembering that you are God, and then resuming that higher state, that higher aspect of yourself in the ideal state that you want to occupy, the happy, loving state. Now, whether it's holiday items, fun treats, things, your little stocking stuffers, or wherever this pattern shows up in your life, because as has been said very often, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that pattern is going to show up in other areas, no question about it. So the third thing, so we've covered so far the timing issues, the intensity issue aspect, and the three, is everybody else's wins, the ones that this person reads about in the Neville Goddard group. Basically, you keep using the tools, and over time, as the more consistent you are, then guaranteed it will become second nature to experience more wins and more awareness. The revising gets easier. The Joseph Goddard technique gets more comfortable. In the beginning, you're kind of saying, oh, I need to stop. You let that drop away. The training wheels come off and you're flying. You are allowing the state that you're in to run things. It's an autopilot kind of situation. You can sit back, put the bus on cruise control, and off you go, sailing down the highway. This is the way it is meant to be. You don't have to worry, side eye, wonder, scratch your head, or some other place on your body and worry about it. No, it is not meant to be that. Now, as I say, 20 does his Joseph Goddard in the morning. He nails what he's after imaginally 4D before he gets out of bed. And then, of course, at night, if you want, go back over the events of your day, but you can, and revise what you didn't care for so much. But you can, and you can also already decide how your next morning's going to go, what you're going to feel like when you wake up, and how your whole day is going to, what the whole trajectory of your next day is going to be about. What the weather's going to be. You name it, you can have it. And the more you play with the tools, the easier and more consistent your wins become. And the person had to say, yeah, maybe I wasn't as consistent as I could have been. All right, we all are like that in the beginning. It's a little bit herky-jerky, and then later on it gets smoother and smoother, and that's the beauty of it. It just is. Breathing is what you do, you don't think about, it's that whole thing. All these processes are going on in your body all the time, in the cells of your body, renewing things all the time. So like anything else, it is a process that gradually becomes something that is that second nature. It's just an extension of that. So that's what I replied. And if you have questions, comments, or a topic you would like me to discuss, get in touch with me, send me a shout out, comment here, and I will be happy to take a look and bring it into a video at some point soon. So thanks again. Happy holidays, much love, and I will see you next time.